Ambassador Raouf Saad, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good afternoon, Your Excellency. Always great having you with us.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Thank you.
Well, talking about, in particular, about the disruption of all the water corridors, and in particular, starting from the crisis of closure of Strait of Hormuz, how heavily do energy supply disruptions in major global corridors impact the African nations that rely entirely on refined fuel imports? Your point of view?
Well, I think we are facing one of the most severe crises that is of a very much global nature. And I think the Africans are not an exception from the disruption that is taking place every part in the world. So I think to start with, that always, history teaches that crisis is always an entry to solutions or to lessons learned lessons. And in that particular case, I believe that
the whole world got the lesson, and nowadays they are searching for other waterways. I mean, searching
exactly.
to build up new waterways.
Yeah, but I think we have to benefit. The whole world have to. It's very, very important to learn the lessons and and consider solutions. First, that waterways, and you have to distinguish between natural waterways and man-made waterways. For example, Strait of Hormuz is different from Suez Canal. Strait of Hormuz is a natural waterway, and it was not digged for whatever. So we will have to get out the lesson from there that internationally we should adopt a new or a renewal of the international maritime law that to ensure and to secure the free passage in the waterways. And that should have no effect on the Suez Canal. Two is the mutual independence should be mutual independence. So I think the world is learning very much that it's not they cannot continue forever to be the provider and the developing countries are on the receiving end. So the whole world is suffering from a world crisis. So that should strengthen the sense and the spirit of common solidarity, and that should lead the developed countries to change their approaches, that they are the donors and the developing countries are the recipients, with the associated with conditionality, so on and so forth. Three, for the economic Africa, the African economies, of course, they are very, very much disturbed, whether you are talking about energy or trade or whatever. So again, the lessons there that should elevate the spirit of inter-African cooperation. The African continent is the richest continent in the world. Maybe on the surface it's still suffering, weak, poor, whatever, but under the surface it is the richest with oil, with gas, with minerals, so on and so forth, agriculture, industry. So it's time to revive and to renovate, the African policies to more solidarity, to more cooperation, in order to gain more autonomy. I won't say independence, autonomy among themselves, particularly with the kind of riches that they are enjoying. The world, again, I think, if you look at what's happening in the World Trade Organization, WTO, it's being paralyzed by the Americans, but with the kind of boycott put on the what you call one of the committees that would allow the committee to judge the trade disputes. So, and let alone that now there we are witnessing such a a dramatic change that the United States is, which is considered, has been considered always as the top country in the world that would try to adopt the free trade, the world free trade, and now is adopting protectionism. So you can imagine. So I think it's time for developing countries, not developing countries alone, developing and developed countries to stand strong, you know, and in Geneva in order to make sure that the WTO is not on its way to be a deteriorating and the weak, ineffective, unable organization. So that's why I think we have so many lessons to learn from in order to restart a new world. We are talking about a new world, new transformations, new multilateral system. The multilateral system is so weakened, not because the system is wrong, because it is being captured by a number of countries that make it helpless. It's time now to wake up, and this is the wake-up call, the crisis that we are witnessing.
Exactly.
So it's we know that, you know, the no war can last forever, and I expect that the war between states and Iran
but
is
also the stage of no war, no peace, and everyone is like anticipating what will go on, holding breath. It's really also or a war of attrition. It's really hard, and for the what we call it the VUCA, actually uncertainty. It's like nothing in the market. So it's so difficult for the markets and all economies. Well, sir, I would like to ask you here concerning the sustained increase in energy imports both, which is accelerates actually the rate or the depreciation of the African currencies as well, and the inflation rate. What's your take on this?
These are unavoidable implications of the world crisis because, again, as I said, the dependence, you know, of the African countries on the outside world would make that the impact, particularly in this particular crisis, the impact is very heavily inflicting the inflation, the energy prices, whatever. Although one remark here that, you know, they might have an advantage because they have a lot of energy resources, so maybe they are less impacted by this. But the fact is that even if they have energy, but their basic imports are coming from the outside world. So again, although the crisis is severe and hard on them, but that should bring to them a new spirit, that it's time to invest in what you have. And I'll tell you something that might be interesting for everybody. Kenya, for example, is #1 ID in the African continent. So we have the African countries are not poor in everything, and you have a case of Egypt, for example, and Morocco, or Tunisia, and other countries, you know, South Africa. We have models that would help a lot in order to bring a new encouragement to sit together and forget about any kind of tribal problems and differences, and sit down to see how Africa can establish its own agenda that would give them the keys to solutions rather than to be waiting for to keep knocking on the door of others.
Yep, exactly, and there's no doubt that the closure of the Strait of Hormuz had actually affected all the scenarios and all the budgets of the countries around the world, even the developing and the developed countries as well. Your Excellency, Ambassador Raouf Saad, former Assistant Foreign Minister, many thanks for your insights and views, and have a nice day. Thank you. Well, moving into the another area in Africa, another country in Africa, which is the Equatorial